Welcome to Often Pacing on Tab Radio, Racing and Sport. Tim Walker will be joined by Matt Young and Oliver Cownie as they delve into the form for today's Pinjarra harness meeting, as well as an early look at tomorrow's meeting at Gloucester Park. We are Often Pacing.
Great to have your company on this Monday morning for another edition of Often Pacing. Tim Walker with you. Busy show on the way today, which we're about to get stuck into with Matt Young and Ollie Cownie. They're standing by. Chris Voak will also join us. He's got some really nice chances at Pinjarra today. We can also have a chat about a winner on Friday night. So looking forward to seeing what Chris has got to say when he joins us in about 15 minutes or so from now. Obviously, we'll talk about Gloucester Park Friday night, and we had a terrific night of pacing at Newcastle as well, with the opening night of the Inters heats and a WA angle there with Minstrel and Tenzing Bromack going around, and we'll have an eye towards Wednesday night as well at Bathurst for the second round of heats. But let's not keep our experts waiting any longer. Matt Young, to you, a very good morning once again.
Good morning again, Tim, Ollie, everyone tuned in.
And Ollie Cownie with us as well. Hello to you, Ollie.
Good morning, Tim. Good morning, Matt.
Well, we'll get into some horses to follow very shortly, gents, but obviously the Inters takes a great deal of our interest at this time of the year, and particularly this year with WA seemingly so well placed to have a live chance in the final. And off what we saw on Friday night, Ollie, you were keeping a very close eye on what Minstrel and Tenzing Bromack were doing in particular, but Minstrel, he started the series in stunning fashion, and he put down a wonderful marker for the rest of the competitors to try and get close to. He is right in the zone.
I think everyone in WA knows how good a horse Minstrel is, and really it was quite surprising that there were so many doubts on, firstly, his gate speed and his overall ability. He's just a top quality horse. He's one of the best in WA, and he proved that again on Friday. It just looked like he did it easily. He left the gate really quickly, and he just cruised around, and I was quite amazed to see that he's gone 153.2 and he's gone a near 54 half on the way home, and he just looked to be doing it under his own steam nearly, which was just incredibly impressive. He's now been wound into outright favourite, I think quite rightfully. He was just so impressive there. His stablemate, I thought Tenzing Bromack was actually quite a good effort in behind. He was only beaten 6 or so metres. He did a stack of work there. They ran pretty much from the 1200 right to the finish line, and he was only beaten just late there. And Captain Nocky, he's another one of the favourites for the series, and he got that perfect run, one out, one back on the back of Tenzing Bromack. So he certainly had his chance there and just had the right trip, I thought. And Tenzing Bromack definitely one that the next couple of heats, if he gets some luck and can sneak through the final, I certainly wouldn't be writing him off, and I think he could be a genuine knockout hope there. And then the third heat, can't find a better man, was incredibly impressive. He zipped to the front mid-race and raced away from a pretty good field there. Curly James was the favourite leading into the series. He probably didn't quite run as good as people might have hoped he would, but he was certainly no knock, and I think the winner was just really impressive. Can't find a better man. So the paces it's shaping up really nicely, and it does look like Minstrel will take plenty of beating.
Yeah, and he's a short price favourite, or certainly expected to be a short price favourite when markets do go up with Tab Touch very, very soon. Matt, your impression of the two WA horses over there in particular?
Yeah, I thought Tenzing Bromack, he had a hard run, but he battled on pretty well considering. But Minstrel he went into beast mode. It was it was really good to see. He'd been east before and obviously had a few issues, and it sort of comes back to what I was mentioning on Pacing Cup night in the OB out of Gloucester Park about he's just got so much confidence in his gait now, and he just seems to be pacing so much better. He just looks smooth. But for him to travel over there and perform like that, I think for Greg and Sky Bond, it's just a massive plus that he settled in and performed how he was, even if not better than what he was in WA. So, yeah, I think it's really exciting. It's a really good test for him on Wednesday, and it would really cap off Denny Roberts' year after winning 4 Group 1s. If she could win it into Dominion along with the Pacing Cup in 2024, I don't think it's going to be a year that she will ever forget.
All eyes to Bathurst on Wednesday night before Menangle on Saturday night. All right, let's get stuck into Friday night and what we saw here. Before we get horses to follow, of which there's one that you two are singing from the same hymn sheet, which we'll touch on very shortly. Matt, we have to touch on the performance of Mr. Smarty. Oh, my goodness gracious. I know Never Ending's a very good horse, but he's going to have to be every bit of that, you'd think, to beat Mr. Smarty. He just looks to be in the zone at the moment. And speaking of Minstrel, we know that he was not far away from Minstrel in the Pacing Cup.
Yeah, and I guess that's a really good form line, isn't it, to see what Minstrel did Friday afternoon and then going into the evening with the 4-year-old championship and or 4-year-old classic. It was a really strong performance by Mr. Smarty. Still quite green, which is something that I mentioned a fair bit about him. You can see that he's just going to be so much better with another 15, 20 starts under his belt. Just the raw ability and the will to win too. He looked done and dusted on the turn. And then a bit similar to the Pacing Cup, about halfway up the straight, you could just see him really start to surge and try and find what was needed to get the victory, and this time he was able to run down Lusaka. Lusaka was really good, I thought. It was a good drive by Dylan Edgerton Green. You could see him trying to make up his mind down the back straight when to try and push Solidere. It was a good drive. He made the move at the right time, and then when he could see the issues going on with Mr. Smarty, he really went for it and nearly paid off. So Lusaka's been very good, but there has been some nice horses just in behind that sort of would be pretty close to favourite or winning races of this nature in any other year. But when you talk about Mr. Smarty and Never Ending being added to the mix, it makes things very hard for them to be able to knock those two stars off.
Yes, it certainly will be a tough ask, Matt. You're spot on there. And Ollie, just your take on the 4-year-old classic before we get to the horses to follow?
Just thought exactly the same thing as Matt there. He's just a really outstanding horse. Mr. Smarty, something right out of the box. And I thought there on Friday when Lusaka hit the lead off the soft run, I thought he was just going to race away and Mr. Smarty was going to run a really good second. But he's just a freak, isn't he, Mr. Smarty? And I think in the Golden Nugget, he'll be incredibly hard to beat no matter where he draws, and certainly Never Ending. He once looked a really clear standout in this bunch, and I think Mr. Smarty's caught up to him and has potentially surpassed him now.
All right, so let's go to the balance of Friday night's meeting, and we'll go to the first race because you're both identifying the runner-up here behind Atlantic Gem, and it was a really good performance by Copycat Queen. So Ollie, we'll go to you firstly for your 3 horses to follow, where it does start in the opener.
I really thought in this race, Atlantic Gem would be incredibly hard to beat, and I thought she was a real standout, and she's just been outstanding in this 3-year-old crop, and I was just stunned when I saw Copycat Queen mowing her down late. She took off a stack of ground. She ran home 26-6. It was just an incredible run there from Copycat Queen, and she really just seems to be turning into the best version of what she can be. She's an incredibly high-speed sit sprinter, and that effort there showed that going forward she's going to be a really high-quality horse. So I'd definitely be following Copycat Queen wherever she goes, and I think there's a race for her to win very, very soon. The next horse I had to follow was in race 7. This was a really strong race, taken out by Penny Black, who sat in the breeze and was an outstanding winner. She was really impressive there, and Instigator in behind is a really nice horse himself as well. But the horse I had to follow in this race was Storyteller. Went back to the pegs and just couldn't find clear running and looked to be travelling quite easily in behind them. And I think had that horse obtained the one out, one back trail, he might have even run over the top of them late, which would have been really impressive. But I think he's one to follow going forward. And it seems like he's starting to pace a little bit better and show the best version of what he can be. He looks a really nice horse, so I think he can win a good race soon. And then the last horse I had to follow was in race 9, Major Overs. I think this horse has just really started to turn a corner. He was a horse that was threatening to win for a long time. He won a race recently, and there on Friday he was in a very strong race behind Hampton Banner and Galactic Star, 2 horses that have sort of been in free-for-all company for a very long time, and he was only beaten 6 metres behind them, and he was hitting the line strongly. So he's in an easier race on Tuesday, major overs. I think he could be competitive in that one, and I think going forward he's a horse that's really starting to show his best.
All right, so that is Copycat Queen, Storyteller, major overs for Ollie. Matt, your Copycat Queen as well?
Yeah, Copycat Queen. Look, I don't think... I think Blind Freddie could have seen how good a run Copycat Queen was, but hearing Ollie say as he broke 27 on the way home off the track, I think Connections and Aidan DeCampo would be tickled pink with that performance, because she has been a horse that's always shown ability but also been a slight headache in the past. So I thought that performance was outstanding. To get that close, I think to see her run into a place from back there would have been very impressive. But to get that close, and she was coming home 2 to the leaders, 1 late, really impressive performance. Soho Firestone, I thought, ran up behind them, and he was a really good effort in the feature for the 4-year-olds. He ran into some interference at the turn, which has cost him valuable ground. But I just think he's ready to win. If you really look at his last 4 or 5 starts, he's been so impressive. I don't think he's going in his career any better than he is right now. So Soho Firestone, I think he's been pretty unlucky and probably deserves a run in the Golden Nugget if he can get there, because I think he could, if he draws well, he could definitely add a lot of value to your novelties in that race, and is definitely one to follow in any metro race he goes around in. And then I'm changing things up, Tim. I'm just going on the fly. I'm going to Bunbury. That's where I was on Friday night.
Yes.
Under the Stars was one of the bigger runs that I've seen on a country track in a long time. First up for Wayne Justin, sat parked, 154.5 or 154.6, it may have been amended, and it was beaten, I think, a short head at the line. He was unbelievable. He is more noted as a mile horse, so that's something that you need to take into consideration where he races next. But I think on that performance, anywhere he races next, they should be looking to take cover on him, and he should be winning. But he's one to follow. Looks like they could have a bit of fun with Under the Stars, the team.
All right, so Under the Stars, just something a little off Broadway there for Matt, but certainly one. Absolutely, I can see where you're coming from there. Soho Firestone and Copycat Queen. All right, let's turn our attention to today, gents, and Ollie, we'll let you open things up here because you're going to the first race for the first of your best bets today at Pinjarra.
Going with a horse in this race that's really seemingly turned a corner this time in. BB Baroque has run second and third, and all of those runs I've been really impressed with them. Two runs ago, this horse flew away from the stand at Gloucester Park, ran along just about the whole way and was just beaten there by Elegant Peak in the concluding stages. But I thought there was a lot of merit in the run of BB Baroque in that race, and this time it's the 2100 stand at Pinjarra. So if you can get out on the front end and bowl along, it's going to take plenty of catching. This horse is shown in a trial leading into this campaign, running pretty good time, that it can do that at Pinjarra as well. And I can just see this being really hard to beat at a decent price. So I certainly think Sunny's Little Rose might be the danger on its back. If they do start to run along, it might make it a bit harder for those off handicaps out the back. But yeah, I'm really keen to be with BB Baroque in that first race, and I think he's a horse that's seemingly hitting top form and is nearing a win. The next horse I had to have a bet on today was in race 3. I thought Maximum Rock was a horse that could drift out in the market. Has certainly gone off short enough, I thought, in the early stages. The last effort at Gloucester Park probably wasn't his best effort, but a few times at Gloucester Park, he's probably just not shown his absolute best. He's a bit of a quirky horse, can do a few things wrong. So I'm happy to forgive that. And I think some of his best runs have been at Pinjarra. He actually ran past the favourite, the Little Master, 2 runs ago at Pinjarra. He ran into second quite strongly there, and it was a really good effort. And they ran a 26.6 quarter on the way home, which was really fast. So I thought Maximum Rock could potentially come out the gate a little bit, take 1-1 cover on Jimmy Rocks, and he can be finishing off really strongly there. I wouldn't be taking the current quote. I'd see what we can get later on there. I think probably drifts out a little bit. And the last race I was keen to play into today at Pinjarra was race 4. The race after that, I was really keen to be with Soho Skyfall when Good Time Louie was in the race, but now I'm happy to change things up and go with Sea Fury 1x3. I think Sea Fury is a horse that goes best following, chose to lead them up last start and was beaten by a really smart horse in Mickey's Beach, who's just a horse on the up, and I think that's really good form for a race like this, and Sea Fury has certainly done his best work when following and able to use that really good turn of foot he's got. So I think Sea Fury can drop on the back of Soho Skyfall, and he can definitely run top two for us. And I think if the races run to suit, he can be a knockout hope there. So 1x3, Sea Fury in race 4, I'm keen to be with.
All right, BB Baroque, Maximum Rock and Sea Fury on the 1x3. Matt, you're going to race 3 for your first bet for this afternoon.
Yeah, race number 3 for me. And look, I thought Lady Camel was an each-way play. I think will likely be leaders back, whether it's on the Little Master or even Icy Cold. I thought Lady Camel could get a really nice run here, and she's been decent enough off the track. I just thought she was a really good chance on an each-way basis from the draw. I've always had a lot of time for this horse. Anyone who listens to the previews knows that I've got a lot of time for this horse, and I thought on the peg line she's going to get a really good run, and there'd be a little bit of pressure in the race. And yeah, it'll be a very intriguing sort of race because the Little Master, as mentioned on the previews, probably not come back as well, and he's probably favourite on reputation. So there is that chance that he may not go as well. Race 7, number 6, the Wild Card. He's one of the faster beginners in the state. I think he'll charge across and lead, and he's had one start at the Lightning Lap and he was successful, and I think he'll win this Lightning Lap. His form probably hasn't been as good, but he's had a little bit of a freshen up going into this. He's a very fast, nippy horse, and I think he can get the job done. So race 7, number 6, the Wild Card, I was very keen on. And in race number 8, I'm just throwing one of the stumps here, Tim, just why not? Second up, Starlight Song's a horse that I think there was a race a while back. It's not in his recent form for his last 10 or so starts. But one of the times that he did place was at Pinjarra, and I thought it was a really good run. And that was over a mile, and I've got this horse pegged as a bit of a mile horse. He's got plenty of speed. Delightable not quick. Will Fast isn't really quick. Devil's Courage has got limited gate speed. Older Chiera can mix it a little bit, and I thought Starlight Song's second up, a bit more fitness. He's got gate speed. If they do intend on going forward, which normally Charlie Lucas' team likes to go forward, I thought this horse could nearly get to the top. It's not an overly strong race, and the $31 is just a silly price. If it can lead, it's just an each-way bet to nothing, and it'll give you a sight. So after you win all your money on the wild card, I'm suggesting you have a little saver on Starlight Song in race number 8. Yeah. So those are the 3 for me. Each-way Lady Camel, straight out for the wild card, and with a little bit of spending money off of the wild card, back Starlight Song each way in the last.
41 into 31 already, Matt, and we'll see what happens from there. Now, let's turn our attention to right here, Gloucester Park tomorrow night, and we'll get you to start early because, again, you're going nice and early in the program.
Not making us wait too long for this one. Yeah, going in the first race. I was also keen to be with number 1, Chief Copy. I think this horse is also shown a little bit in the past, hasn't been able to win, only won once in 17 starts, but has placed 8 times, and I think it was certainly a good enough effort on return from a very long spell first up behind Henty, drew poorly on that occasion and had to do a bit of work on that in that race, so game enough effort running second, and then last start I thought it was a really good effort, beaten 31 metres, but really did loom into it quite strongly, and it was a race that looked difficult for horses to make ground out wide. Has a bit of gate speed. I think Chief Copy can show that in the early stages, potentially hand over to one of the better chances and be a really good 1x3 chance for us in the race. There's a few horses that could potentially be good to sit on, Wheelease Waterwick or Curious Boy or even Alta Prince, who did things wrong in the early stages last start. I'm pretty keen to take on Fraser, who's off a 2-year spell, so just happy to see her go around here and do everything right, and then maybe we can look at her in future runs, but keen to be with Chief Copy in that first race. And then on to race 6, one we were with last week, Minor Catastrophe. It was a bit of a minor catastrophe in the early stages when the favourite got crossed and she ended up 3 back on the pegs and ran 4. She wasn't beaten far at all. It was certainly a good enough effort there. I think she can drop straight on the back of a Cushla McCree in this race, with Pecunious scratched after she was stood down to trial on the weekend. So I think on the back of a Cushla McCree, who won pretty impressively there on the weekend, I think Minor Catastrophe can be a really good place bet for us, and potentially we can have something small on the win of the price, and she might be able to potentially run over the top. But 1x3 looks a really good angle in that race.
You're going to that race as well, Matt?
Yeah, same horse, Minor Catastrophe. I'm still floored from last week, and Vintage Blue Crossing, just as soon as that happened, there was just that sinking feeling, and Ollie would know that sinking feeling where you just know you're not going to see the light of day, and she didn't really get a crack at them. So, yeah, this is perfect for her. I think she's more of a place chance. I'm worried about what the place price is going to come up, because she's going to be likely on the back of a very short price favourite. But, yeah, it's sort of one where you need to look at the prices, but I think she's a lock this time. I think she'll definitely run into the money. And I'm sticking with the David Young team. I'm loyal, and that's not my gate in the last. She has not been trotting in her correct gait. She's a pacing bred trotter, but she's been galloping and pacing up to the gate. She's been doing a lot of things that she shouldn't have been doing, but if you really look at her performances, she's been outstanding. And I think over 2,500 metres, I think she'll monster these. So I'm very confident that she can get the job done in the final event on the card. So Minor Catastrophe a place. If she's too short, maybe have her place into win on it. That's not my gate in the last.
All right, to go with Chief Copy and Minor Catastrophe, the 1x3 basis for Ollie. All right, Matt, we'll let you get going and ready to go for Pinjarra today. The Racing WA Harness X page, the place to be.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And we'll catch up with you on the preview tomorrow morning. And also, Ollie, thank you for your time. Enjoy the week ahead and look forward to catching up with you again next Monday.
Thanks, Tim. Looking forward to it.
You are listening to Often Pacing on Tab Radio, Racing and Sport.
Yeah, it's great to have your company on this Monday morning. Matt and Ollie have joined us and hopefully found a few winners for today and tomorrow. And it's time to welcome in a special guest to Often Pacing today. Chris Voak, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, guys.
Great to have you on the program this morning. Before we get stuck into Pinjarra today, Friday night, success there with Caliente, able to lead and get the job done after stepping only fairly, it must be said, but you must have been wrapped with the result nonetheless.
Yeah, I thought it was a strong effort. It was a solid run race the whole way, and he showed good stamina. He's probably hitting his straps at a good time.
What do you look to do from here on in with Caliente?
I'll head to the San Simeon with him Friday.
Yep.
And also Trigwell Road. I was impressed with that horse as well, and I think he was probably a fraction underdone Friday, so he could be the one going forward Friday that I think could be a significant improver.
Okay, all right. Now, just very quickly, one more from Friday night. Rock Artist, who we saw in the 4-year-old Classic, obviously ended up 3 back on the pegs. Were you happy enough with how he got home?
I was happy with the horse, just disappointed with myself with the training performance of him. I'm going to butter him up this Friday, and I've done this before with a number of horses where we bounce them in a week and they've put 3 or 4 lengths on them. So, I'm actually confident with him going into Friday's run. Okay,
and then hopefully from there another good showing in 12 days' time for the Nugget.
Yeah, he should have run third Friday. Pulled up big and went the fortnight and whatever. It just changed a few routines with a number of our horses, and we've got results. But I think he's a different horse than what he was for me last campaign, so he can absorb a little more work. So we'll go down that path with him, and I think the proof will be in the pudding Friday when I line him up there.
All right, now let's turn our attention to today, because you've got a number of very significant drives to look at. Is there a day coming for Sonny's Little Rose, and could it be today?
Yeah, well, it does look a real good race for her on paper. She's normally an excellent beginner, so the short course stand. She was gallant in defeat last run after breezing, so I would imagine leading. She would give him something to chase for sure.
You expect to lead?
I do, yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. So that is Sonny's Little Rose there in race number 1. We'll roll along to race number 3, and you team up here with Maximum Rock. We just spoke to Ollie. He was keen to be with Maximum Rock, and obviously you were able to beat the Little Master a couple of starts back at Pinjarra. So could you see Maximum Rock certainly giving this favourite something to think about again today?
Yeah, I think so. He's in a good place, the horse. He worked well during the week. And to be honest, he's actually he's a real sort of a mental case horse. Like, in front, he's not as good. I mean, he's always better with a sit, or actually his other 2 runs for me when he's breezed over the short course. He's ran, 54.8 at Northam in the breeze and went down a neck, and his run in the breeze for Franklin Delano was a good effort. So it's still a competitive race, but I do think on his home track he can be right to finish.
All right, so that is Maximum Rock there in race number 3. Now we go along to race number 4. We're down to a field of half a dozen here, obviously with the scratching of Good Time Louis. You team up with Alta Freeway. How do you attack this race?
Well, it'll be competitive early. It's not. I mean, the small field brings him into it, but he's actually racing really well. If you go back at a couple of his runs, like he was in a last 5:25, I think, the last start before, and he actually made good ground, and he drew 9 on that occasion in what was a real strong field. So he's going to land handy, and I think he's a good. I reckon he's definitely a good top 3 sort of chance. How much he's progressed off the last run, I'm not sure, because I haven't spoke to Barry, but he is a capable horse, I think.
All right, now we get to the first of the lightning laps here, Chris, and there's just been a little bit of specking for Rockin' Lamond. Obviously, Spoil the Party drawn underneath you, but we know Rockin' Lamond has been pretty good in these lightning laps of late, so can he get the job done today?
Yeah, I think so. Like you said, he races well over the journey, so I've sort of targeted short distance races with him. They're always competitive early. I think Spoil the Party obviously gets the barrier advantage, but I am quietly confident with him, with our bloke, that he's been good in them, but I'm sort of expecting to put up a really strong performance today, and whether that means he wins or runs second or third depends on how the others go, I suppose. But I do expect him to have a little more speed and power than usual.
Okay. What's the word from the camp? Are you aware how well Brulé is going ahead of her first up assignment in race number 6?
No, not yet. Not until I get on course and speak to Barry. But she raced well in a couple of starts that I drove her in last preparation, but she was in need of a break. So then ultimately she's gone out for that break and starts a new campaign today. I think it's a perfect draw for where she'd be at in her campaign. However, it'll be interesting to see how far forward Barry tells me she is. But nevertheless, she is a capable horse. So you'd have to say a place for novelty chance just being first up. And if she's further forward than that, well, she's a knockout chance.
All right. Now, speaking to Matty earlier on, he was pretty confident the wild card would be able to jump, lead and win the second of the lightning laps, race number 7. Do you expect the wild card is the one to beat there?
Well, I hope Matt's right. That'd be good. That'd be fantastic. I'd love that. I haven't driven the horse for a little while, to be honest, but he seems to be racing really well in these standing starts. There's a number of factors which give him some sort of advantage over other horses.
All right, and you end the day with Wheel Fast, of course, drawn barrier number 2. How did you see this playing out for him early doors?
Hopefully he is really fast.
Yes. You expect to be right up there in the firing lane?
Yeah, unfortunately, his form would suggest he's not very fast.
Yes.
It's a suitable race, really. It's a raffle sort of race, but he looks like he can get to the front. He led at GP and faded after having to do a bit of work early. He was okay at Bunbury, but this is a different sort of a context race, so I think he gets his chance. I guess it's hopefully the other horses don't want to win as much as he doesn't want to win.
All right, hopefully today can be the day for Wheel Fast in race number 8. Chris, it's a good book of drives today. Hopefully there is a winner. Well done on Friday night, and good luck for the next 48 hours or so.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Thanks very much.
All the best. There is Chris Voak rounding out Off and Pacing this morning. That's us for another week. Plenty to look forward to this week. Heat night number 2 of the Inters on Wednesday into the San Simeon, as you just heard Chris referencing there, this Friday night, and obviously an eye towards the Golden Nugget Friday week. We'll probably see a few of the 4-year-olds having a look this week at headquarters. We're going to take a very short break. Thanks for your company on Off and Pacing this morning. Leah Ernest, I'll leave you in her capable hands. I'll get that out eventually. Leave you in her capable hands for the early part of race day. Many winners today.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelpline.org.au.